Hello and happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Bebe Miscedra. Did I say that right?
Yes.
And it's actually, you have another name, Sandra.
Yes.
Bebe Ochs Miscedra.
Yes.
Quite a name. Did anybody ever call you Sandra?
Yeah, usually like doctors or
right
in school
lawyers,
or
cops when you get pulled over and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what's on your license and your official documents?
Yes, that's my official name.
Your papers, please. We're getting back there again, aren't we? Egads.
Yes, my doctor told me that today. He said they're taking people and asking for their papers. It's like Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Did you see that senator a senator?
Yeah, they put him on the floor.
A U.S. senator from California. Yeah, they pushed him on the floor, like roughly.
Yep.
No deference to this guy, just because he's on the other team, I guess.
Right.
And I strongly suspect that, all the cops and all of the ICE people are real MAGA fans.
Oh. I'm sure they are. I don't know why they would be, because their fearless leader could care less about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And proves that over and over and over again. I don't care about you people.
Right.
You're only as good as your service to me.
And people who serve their country, he's like, what's in it for them?
Oh, yeah, right. The thing that he said about, I'm blanking on his name now, from Arizona, John McCain, he said, well, I prefer people who didn't get captured.
Exactly.
Like, fuck you, bone spurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My God.
And he was in the big cemetery there in Washington, Arlington with the general, and he says, I don't get it. What was in it for them?
Oh, jeez. I know.
And he's sitting his big fat ass in our White House.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So let me just open the show. I didn't think we were going to open that way. By saying you were proudly 80 years old.
Yes.
Which is great. So if my math is correct, you were born in 1960. or what year were you born? Like
45.
45. So that's towards the end of World War II.
Yeah, I was born in May, and it ended, June was VE Day.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But you grew up with that mythology, that recent story, like really strong in the mythology of this country.
Yes.
And guiding this country, fighting for, the noble truths of our Constitution.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yes.
At what point and you grew up here in Rhinebeck, right?
Yes.
At what point did you first start being sort of politically aware?
I think I was pretty apolitical growing up, but my parents were Republicans, and for some reason that just didn't resonate with me, and I think it was the Kennedys that kind of made me start looking in that direction. I loved Bobby Kennedy. I thought he was just
right.
I thought he was going to take care of everything. And then, and then you had guys like Nixon and that. God, what a horrible human being.
Right.
The Bushes.
He's not a crook by today's standards.
True.
Yeah.
True, but, God, we hated him.
Yeah, but your parents liked him.
I don't know. They never said they did to me. Because I'm sure my husband and I were probably bashing him from one end to the other. From
day one.
Yeah.
And you had siblings growing up?
Yeah, my brother.
Okay, brother. And did he rebel against the parents' conservatism as well?
Oh, yes. He and I were of the same stripe.
That's so sweet. And so your parents raised two liberals.
Two ungodly
liberals. And but they never said anything to you about it?
No, and I never could get it. My father's a working man. I mean, it wasn't like they had anything. They had to work for everything they had. Right.
But I mean, right now you see all these working men who are voting against their own best interests to support Trump and the Republicans.
Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, women have always done that. They always vote against themselves. I mean, I thought Kamala Harris was like a wonderful person. I mean, here you've got a woman with expertise in 3 areas of the government. She's smart, and she seems like a good person. And who do they pick over her? a failed, stupid businessman.
It's ridiculous. It happened with Hillary Clinton too. Who of all the presidential candidates in my memory was the most set up to be president. She had all the experience you could ever want, more than anybody.
Yes.
Oh boy, that just kills me.
I think what happened to poor Hillary Clinton was she had a husband who was a dog.
Right.
And what are you going to do? I mean, wives do what they're going to do. And people, I think they judged her that she didn't come out saying that he was a no good dog. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, her resume, her experience was just unrivaled. I was not really a fan of hers. I liked Bernie in that race, and I felt that the DNC sort of like gave him the shaft. Yeah. And then I never quite bounced back to like her. But holy crap, what about it? The experience is just unrivaled. Yeah. Yeah. The DNC to me right now is like, they keep asking me for money, and I'm like, you people, you had a hand in electing this nut job. Right. Because as good as Kamala Harris was, she's a woman, and she's a woman of color. Forget about it. This is racist America. Nobody's voting for her.
It is so sad to see. And it's hard to argue with the idea of just, like, you keep pushing these really qualified women, right, to the top of the heap and push them out into the public and get them elected. It's hard to argue with the strategy, except, as you said, this is still racist America and misogynistic America, and lots of people just won't vote for her.
Right, because she's a woman, of color. Like Katie Porter in California. Boy, I love that woman.
I love her so much.
The whiteboard lady.
Yeah, she's so good. I can't believe that she lost her bid for re-election.
Well, I don't even know how she was in Orange County. That's such a Republican rich people place. And she's just a working mother. She's smart. Oh, yeah.
She's smart and persuasive and really good laying her arguments out. Like you say, the whiteboard lady. and that's great. Yeah, bring the whiteboard. I mean, I think people need a freaking diagram.
Absolutely.
Like, this is where the money's going, and it's not going to you.
Right.
So do you think, who do you think could have possibly won the last presidential election for the Democrats?
I don't know, but there's a lot of, like, I'm sure, I really love Pete Buttigieg, but I don't know that anybody would want, oh my God, a gay guy,
Right. Oh, he's just amazing, phenomenal. Yeah. He wasn't my pick of the primary candidates way back when, but he's done great since then.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's got a good heart.
Yeah, I think so.
Really smart.
Yeah. He's a veteran. I mean, that's the thing. That, like our Congressman, Pat Ryan, I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's a veteran, and they called him a liar, which really, really got to me, because he went to West Point. You go to West Point and you swear you will not lie and you will not cheat, and they called him a liar. That's got to hit him right where he lives, which is...
Yeah, it's tough. He seems like a pretty good guy.
I think so, too.
I wish he were a little more liberal on some things.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to get elected if you're a little more liberal on some of these things.
Well, yeah, because now liberals are like the evil people.
I know. And it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, well, I think everybody should have health care. I think everybody should pay their fair share of taxes. It's like, I think our children should get the best education. How is this liberal?
Right.
How is this not common sense?
Right. In education, we have to be educated people. If you're not educated, then you're going to get nut jobs like we have now.
Yeah. And we'll just segue to this. You were educated here in Rhinebeck. Did you graduate Rhinebeck High School?
Yeah, I did. Rhinebeck High School, Rhinebeck school system. Well, we were. I was like I wasn't a post-war baby boom. I was a war baby, actually. Right. And there was lots of kids in, from 5 years up, going to school in Rhinebeck. It was like a wonderful place to grow up. But the school district was never top notch, I don't think.
Right.
That's my opinion. But
and you went to the elementary school here, and the middle school, and the high school. And was it all in Rhinebeck? Somebody was here on the show recently, and they went to school down here at the convent.
In Rhinecliff? Convent?
Yeah, at the Union Free School down there. on River Road.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was a school there.
Yeah, they went. Actually, he taught there, and then he taught in Rhinebeck.
Oh. No, I went to kindergarten it was on Center Street I don't know if you know where Center Street is in Rhinebeck.
Yeah, sure.
There was Mr. Scattergood, who was the guy who took everybody's pictures.
Yeah.
It was his studio. I guess it was after that, but that's where we went to kindergarten. Then we went around the corner to the house that was attached to a church. That was first grade. And then the Buckley School. And I'll tell you something about the Buckley School. They're going to turn that into apartments. I wouldn't live there if you paid me.
How come?
Ugh. The teachers that I had in there, they were horrible. And there's bad juju in that building, I'm sure.
The ghosts of wooden rulers across your knuckles.
Ooh, nasty old ladies who just hated kids.
Now, that's the cliche. How do those people ever get into teaching? Unless you're a nun.
That's a whole other scary story.
Let's talk about that. Were you raised religious?
Yes.
In which religion?
Catholic.
Okay, so...
But my mother, I mean, I can remember being in church with my mother, and, they'd get up there and start telling you what movies you couldn't see. I would think it was about 15, what books you couldn't read. And the smoke started coming out of my ears. And my mother's just like, shh, it's okay. You can read whatever you want to read, and you can see whatever movies. Just be quiet.
That's sweet. And do you remember any of the movies or books?
All I remember was the first Elvis movie.
Oh, boy, well.
And I was about 13 when that came out, and I was there in the movies, and my next door neighbor, who was older than me, was there, and her mother came in, and her mother was going up and down the aisle. I don't want to mention any names, going up and down the aisles, calling her name. She crawled under the seat.
Oh, no way.
Because good Catholics did not go see Elvis movies.
Right.
He was shaking his booty.
Oh, he was. And at the time, I've seen newsreels, it was considered a threat to the morals of American youth.
We're talking the 50s. It was a stupid decade. Ugh.
Yeah. But it gave, the oppression, which is, I guess, what you're referring to when you say stupid, gave birth to all this expression and all this, chaotic art, rock and roll and Elvis and hot rods.
True.
It was a pretty good thing. And so what were you into at that point in time?
You lived in Rhinebeck? What were you into in your young teenage years?
Yeah, what'd you do on the weekends?
Drank.
And what did you drink and where?
Beer. We were mostly drinking beer, trying to get into bars. There used to be, where the pond is. I don't know what they're calling it, Crystal Lake or whatever, but it used to be the pond.
The pond.
And it had this stone building. And I can remember once I was going into the village, it was nighttime, and I was walking down alongside of there, and I hear somebody going, beep, beep. And they were all in that building, and it was 20 below, drinking beer in that changing room building. That's the kind of things we did.
It was a little stone building on the edge of Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Is it still there? I think maybe it is.
I don't know. It was the changing room when we used to swim there.
Do you remember what kind of beer it was?
It was big bottles,
right.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but
right.
Passing the bottle.
I love that.
That was her.
And how old were you when you started doing that for recreation?
Probably 14 or 15, maybe.
It sounds like an appropriate age. And did your folks have any inkling that you were doing that kind of stuff?
I don't think so. I mean, they were having a good time. They were enjoying themselves. They used to go to parties and stuff, and as soon as they were, Mom and Dad are going out, ooh, let's have a party. And then people would come over and
then, so you'd have a party for 2 hours and then kick everybody out and clean up. And you never got busted?
I don't think so.
That's hilarious.
I don't remember ever getting busted. I mean, they might have known, but they weren't gonna. I don't know.
and so was that it, sort of, for teenagers in the '60s here in Rhinebeck? In terms of recreation.
Yeah, it was before weed. I mean, there wasn't a lot of that around, so it was right. And it was mostly people going, God, I can't wait to get the hell out of this town. There was a lot of that.
And did many of your peers get the hell out of town?
Oh, yeah. Most of them.
And did many of them come back?
No.
Really? Huh.
No.
And nowadays it seems lots of kids graduate, they leave, they go away, do stuff maybe, and then they come back.
Oh, like my niece, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And where did she graduated Rhinebeck?
Oh, yeah. She was born here. Yeah.
And where did she go away to?
To Staten Island.
Staten Island?
Well, she went to Marist. She graduated. She went to work in the city. And then she moved in with somebody that worked with her in Queens. And then she met somebody. And then they got married and they ended up in Staten Island.
Right.
That's an interesting place.
It is an interesting place to end up. And now she's back here.
Yes.
That's great. Where she's hanging out with, what's his name?
Yeah.
Todd.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bumped into the two of them, Todd and your niece, and they said, "Oh my God, you got to have my aunt on." And so,
and I'm like, why did you do this to me? You know, this terrifies me.
Does this terrify you?
Yes.
How come you seem so natural? The booze. Yeah.
Norm, I'm a cheap date.
That's good. And you, as is the tradition, you brought a cocktail for us to enjoy. What is this we're drinking?
It's a Elder Spritz.
Elder. You brought that because you're 80? You're like, I'm only going to serve stuff with like references to old age?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a liqueur, and then you add some bubbly. I put Prosecco, and then you put a little bubbly water in it. And
it's really yummy. Oh,
you know what I forgot? The twist of lemon.
Oh, well, it's delicious anyway. I've already had two, so thank you so much. Did you, when you graduated, did you go away anywhere?
I went to Dutchess. We used to call it grade 13, Rhinebeck High School.
Grade 13. And it's a lovely place now, DCC.
Well, when I first went there, I wasn't ready to go to college or do anything. I was lazy. And I went back in my older years, and it's, I tell people all the time, it's one of the best places you can go. If you don't know what you want to do, if you're a small town person and you want, Dutchess is a wonderful place.
Yeah, it's a great place, and they have some amazing professors there.
I had an art teacher, David Lax, who was a famous artist in his day.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Huh. And you went there, so did you go there right after as grade 13?
Yeah,
basically, yeah. What did you think you wanted to study?
I didn't really know. I don't know. I thought I wanted to be a psychologist, or I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and then I was like,
right.
You can't be a doctor. You're a hypochondriac. Forget about it.
But wouldn't that maybe perhaps make the best doctor?
I don't know.
It's like, wait, I know it's something.
I don't know. It just, I screwed up totally.
And how'd you screw up?
Just never did anything. I didn't study. I didn't, just like high school.
Right.
Just sitting there watching, out the window, birds fly by.
Uh-huh. Just daydreaming and stuff.
Well, I think about, as a child, people weren't as aware, when you're kids. First, I had really bad eyes. I couldn't see anything without glasses, and nobody knew until I was about 7. And then I had ear problems, so I wasn't hearing, and I wasn't seeing, and I'm sitting in the classroom. And, when you're a little kid, you don't realize that that's not the way life's supposed to be.
Right. And so did you get corrective lenses?
Yes.
And did you get hearing aids?
No, I got my tonsils and adenoids taken out, and it helped took care of all the ear problems.
It drained the pressure in your...
I used to get ear infections,
And now you're 80, I still don't see any hearing aids.
No, my hearing's perfect.
Amazing, and I don't see any glasses.
Hey, cataracts surgery. Cataracts are a wonderful thing.
Because they take out the cataracts and they fit you with new lenses.
For the first,
right in your eyeball.
Yeah, I was like a grown-up, and I didn't have to wear glasses. And I could see.
And was that for the first time?
Yeah. I was like, whoa.
When did this happen?
About 15, 16 years ago.
Did you ever think, 20 or 30 years ago when LASIK was happening, did you ever think you'd do that?
I wore contacts, so I was, pretty happy with that.
Right. And then you waited, and they said, all right, well, you have to do this.
Yeah.
And you paid the extra money. You got the fresh lenses in there.
Well, I didn't have to, actually, because I was on Medicaid.
Oh.
Medicare. Old people thing.
Yeah. I'm 65. I just got on that. I got bounced off of Medicaid onto Medicare. And so far, knock on wood, it's pretty good.
Medicare is wonderful, I think.
Yeah.
What would we do without it?
But Medicaid was like great because I had 3 kids. I was making no money, and it was amazing. Absolutely, Obamacare saved my life.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who say the same thing.
Yeah,
and to me, healthcare, a roof over your head, food in your stomach. Why is that such a big deal? Those are the things you should. Everybody.
Why
should
is
have.
that so radical? Radical is let's just not tax the billionaires.
Yeah.
That's fucking radical.
I agree.
Get started on this shit,
Yeah.
baby. So tomorrow is this big day of protest, this No Kings protest.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes.
Are you going to protest anywhere?
Yeah, I think we were going to go to. Somebody said the Lions Park in Rhinebeck, and I think I'm gonna.
I didn't know that. What time is that?
We weren't sure.
Right.
I was talking to some friends. They thought it was 10:30. I don't know.
Right. Did Todd and Elena have any idea?
No, I don't think. No, I don't think they have other things on their mind. I think.
Right. What's on their minds? You're like, come on, we were all young once. All right, silly question. Forget about it. And so back to high school, you graduated and went to DCC. How many years did you stay at Dutchess?
I think about a year and a half. Then I just stopped going.
And how come? What was more interesting?
I don't know. I was like frozen.
Right.
I can't explain it. It was like just froze. I didn't really do anything. And then I got a job. And, I worked in a couple of jobs.
What kinds of jobs did you have?
I worked for an eye doctor, optometrist, and then I worked for a union, for electricians union. I worked there for 18 years in the office.
Oh, nice. Like in Poughkeepsie, or?
Yeah, in Poughkeepsie, and then I went to see a psychologist for 2 years. That saved my life.
And what made you decide you wanted to see a psychologist?
I was just unhappy with the way my life was going. I mean, I was married and I had a great marriage, but I wanted something more.
And did your husband support you going to see the shrink?
Oh, yeah.
That's so sweet.
Whatever I wanted, he supported me.
I love that. So day one at the shrink, shrink's like, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in. What's going on?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I can't remember. My brother had gone to him. My brother was running, and this guy was kind of like a sports psychologist. And he helped runners. So I went, and I don't know. He just made me see, okay, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do this, but you could do whatever you want to do. And also, he taught me self-hypnosis and meditation.
Wow. And do you still do any of that?
No, actually, I don't. I should, because I still can, but it helped me find out what I wanted to go back to school.
So good. So going into the psychologist, he's like, well, you don't have to do this. Had there been pressure of any sort, self-imposed or from parents to do certain things?
It was like, you got to watch out for your brother. You have to, take care of this. You have to. But I didn't really. He was a grown man. I didn't have to. And I'm guessing this was a little brother? 18 months.
Okay. And so had you grown up sort of like taking care of him?
A little bit, yeah, kind of. Watching out for him. If somebody picked on him, I would beat the crap out of him.
And did the folk... All right, when's the last time you beat the crap out of anybody? Because I can totally see it. What are you, like 5'2" and 140 pounds? Like...
I think I was
not
about...
imposing.
I was about... maybe 13 or 14, and it was a guy, and his mother called up and complained to my mother.
There was a guy in school, let's say 7th grade, 8th grade, and he went home, told his mom, he was bad mouthing you. He says,
Yes.
"This BB is like mean to me."
Yeah, she hit me.
And had you hit him?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Why had he been hitten by you?
We were
Hit by
playing on
women.
a swing, and
Yeah.
he pushed my brother into a tree, and the whole side of he was all like scraped, and I saw red.
So it sounds like he did this on purpose, this kid.
Yeah, I think he did.
And so, all right, so now you're at home, the phone rings, and you're just like, whatever. You're like,
Yeah.
don't even turn down the TV volume. The phone rings, you think nothing of it, and then your mom says, "BB." No.
No, my mother said, "Well, he never should have done that to her brother. That's her brother. She takes care of him."
Did you hear your mom say that on the phone?
No, she told me after.
Right.
She said,
You shouldn't have done that.
what's his name's mother called, and she said, "That's what I told her."
Wow. So it sounds like at least this guy's mom got the events correct and told the truth about what had happened.
Yep. Yeah, whatever he told her, and then my mother was, you have to take care of your brother.
And why? Why would they say that to you, being a year and a half older? At a young age, you got to take care of your brother. Did he have special needs?
No. I don't know. I mean, that's just the way, we were brought up to watch out for him. He was younger. Maybe, I don't know.
Right. But it sounds like it resonated and settled deeply in you. If when you go to see the psychologist years later, the shrink's like, "Hey, you don't have to do that anymore." And you're like, "You're right. My brother's 28 and he's 6'2", and
yeah, he takes care of himself now.
Yeah. Well, God bless you. That's amazing. May everybody have a big sister just like that, and a mom who backs that up.
Yep.
And were your folks that way in general? They were like, somebody hits you, you got to hit them back?
Well, they didn't really like us hitting people, but my mother was very loving. She loved little babies, little kids, dogs, anybody who needed help. My mother was somebody who liked to take care of people.
Right. It's so sweet. And what was her, was she a mom, a professional mom, a homemaker, or did she have other work?
Yeah, she was a nanny, and then she worked in, I don't know if you guys know, but there used to be a feather factory over top of the store in Rhinebeck, the corner store, as we called it.
Oh, right.
They made feathers for hats.
Wow.
She worked in there. She worked the factory, where the factory was, out 308. Now it's offices.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's famous. That factory was a famous family.
Right.
You remember Bernie Getz?
Yeah.
That was his family.
Oh,
that owned the factory.
Bernie Getz,
the subway shooter.
Yeah, what a story. Yeah,
I went to school with him. His sister was in my grade.
I didn't know that. So he grew up in Rhinebeck.
I guess he did, yeah. I mean, they weren't really.
And his folks owned that factory.
My mother worked there. I worked there. We used to work after school in there.
Right. And what did you do? What kinds of things did you do in that factory?
They made books of swatches of material. So when you go in the store and you want a new couch cover or whatever, the stuff used to float around in the air. God, my nose used to itch.
I loved those books when I was a kid.
Yeah.
In every department store they'd have these books, and they was just magical, like fabric on every other page. It was so sweet. And so you put them together. And,
yeah.
It's one of those things like, what a ridiculous job, but somebody's got to do it.
Exactly.
And you were there working with your mom.
She was not working there then when I was there.
Okay.
I was in high school then, and
right.
You had to earn money to go to Washington and buy your school ring and all that important stuff.
I love that. So as a family, your folks were like, if you want that, you can go make some money and we'll help you.
Yeah.
I love that. And did they help you pay for college and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, yeah, my dad did.
Uh-huh. And tell me again, what did he do?
Oh, my dad was a printer.
Okay.
And do you want to know about his story coming to Rhinebeck?
Yeah, come on.
He was born and brought up in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, which is right on the Delaware River. So he grew up ice skating on there and roller skating, so he loved all that kind of stuff.
Right.
he had bad eyes. So when the war started, he went everywhere. He went to the Navy, he went to the Army, he went everywhere. Nobody would take him because his eyes were so bad. So, because then you're a liability. You're in a battle and you lose your glasses and everybody's problem. So he finally, because President Roosevelt's home was in Hyde Park, they put these towers all over. Do you know about the towers in Dutchess County?
No.
Yeah, there were observation towers. There was one in Rhinebeck.
Right.
And so my dad ended up in that group of, they were sort of misfit type, and rich people end up in this group. The Army Air Corps was my dad with his bad eyes. I think there was a guy with a hearing problem, a guy who had a arm that didn't quite work.
Did you ever see It's a Wonderful Life? I think George Bailey had, he had no hearing, so he couldn't serve, so he stayed home and did that.
Well, when my dad was in the Army, and they put him here in Rhinebeck, and there was a guy who was married to Shirley Temple. There was another guy whose father owned a chain of drugstores, had a lot of money, and his father used to send him a case of scotch a month. He's my dad's best friend.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, but they would do things like get drunk and shoot their guns through the ceiling of the towers, and then they took their ammunition away from them. But basically, they were searching the skies. So when he was doing that, he was a printer, and he got a job at the Rhinebeck Gazette.
Okay.
And he loved it, and he loved Rhinebeck.
And where had he worked prior to the Gazette?
He worked in Phillipsburg for a printer.
Oh, okay. For a printer in Jersey. And so did he answer a want ad and then come to Rhinebeck?
I don't know how he got that. I don't know. He probably just walked in and said, you need somebody, and was Jake Strong owned the...
I see. So the Army brought him up here?
Yes.
And then he found a job here, and then he just stayed?
Yes.
Because how could you not?
Yes.
It's an amazing place.
He loved it.
And how did your mom get here?
Oh, her family were, mother and father came from Italy. And her father was a wallpaper painter guy.
Oh, wow.
And they lived in Mamaroneck. That's where my mom was born and brought up. But then in the 30s, when the rich people were jumping out of the windows and their houses are going for nothing, he bought this beautiful house in Bronxville, and there were 8 kids, moved them all, and it was down the street from the Kennedys. Now, I don't think the Kennedys were hanging out with this Italian family, but they were right there.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather, I swear, had bipolar disorder, undiagnosed.
Right.
So Pop comes home one day and he says, I sold the house, we're moving upstate. He bought a farm in Clinton, and they had no running water, no inside plumbing, and no heat. And they moved from this beautiful house in Bronxville to
this neo-Italianate mansion to a Beverly Hillbillies shack.
Yes, and they farmed.
And so this was your mom's dad?
Yeah.
And how many children?
There were 8 of them.
Amazing. And are many of them still around here?
No, but their kids are. They're all gone.
So the ones who are gone are your cousins.
The ones that are here
and
now.
The ones who were their kids or cousins once removed.
Well, they were my aunts and uncles. The aunts and uncles all died, and all their kids. A lot of their kids still live around.
And do you see them?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, my cousin lives in the Village Green, a couple doors down from me.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, they live in Rhinebeck. They live in California. They live New Hampshire. They live all over.
And do you all keep in touch? Do you send letters back and forth, or have group phone calls? Or?
Yep, text.
I love that. And what's the nature of your communications? What do you all talk about?
Probably. Well, we talk a lot of politics.
Oh, and are you all on the same page?
Yes, I have to say, yes. And my one cousin that I told that I was going to come on your show, she said to me, "Perfect place for you, Beeb. You got a lot of opinions."
All right, let's hear some damned opinions. I'm sick of these facts. Well, that's funny. And do you? So when you're in this group text with them, Let me ask you this. Have you ever, you do have a lot of opinions, and you're clearly you think a lot about politics and, well-formulated opinions and all that stuff. Do you think you've ever changed somebody's mind, as to their politics? Like, say, somebody conservative, and you're like, well, here's why I'm a liberal for this, this, and this. Do you think you have ever changed anybody's mind?
I have to say, probably no. And I don't even try, to be honest with you, because at this point, I'm like, if you want to be that way, I cut those kind of people out of my life.
Okay. Right, but I mean, if you're sharing your opinions, it's not really even trying. It's just like, this is what I think is right.
Yeah. I don't really know anybody that doesn't have, like, the same kind of appealings about everything that I do. Right.
And your husband, who passed away a number of years ago, was he was on the same page?
Yes. I came home one day watching Fox News, and I said to him, "What the heck are you watching that for?" He said, "You have to know what the enemy's up to."
Absolutely. I tried to get Fox News yesterday. I have TV. I pay for the cable. I don't know why I never watch it. But yesterday, when I read about this California senator, I was like, I want to see what Fox News is saying about this. And it was the middle of the day. Like, I didn't even watch TV at nighttime, but I turned it on, and I couldn't find any Fox News. It was all other stuff. But I was very eager to see how they were spinning this story. So I'm totally with your husband on that. You need to, I think, not live in an echo chamber, for one, and also understand how the spin's working on both sides, for two.
Yes.
So he passed away, as I said, a number of years ago in 2012.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss. And what did he do?
He was an electrician.
Okay.
He started out. His uncle had back when TVs used to get repaired. They were in business together repairing TVs, and then he was in the Navy, and he worked on radar equipment. He ran the shop on aircraft carriers, and he flew in the planes that had the radar. And he then went into, after we got married, he got into the electricians union, and he was an electrician, but he could do anything. Whatever.
And he joined the union. You were working for the union.
Yes.
So does that answer my next question? Is that how you all met?
No, we met in a bar.
All right, what was the name of the bar? Where was it?
It was in Hyde Park. The name is escaping me now. It was a dumpy little dive.
And you were living here?
Yeah, I lived in Rhinebeck with my parents, and we met. A friend of mine dragged me to Hyde Park. So we got to go to Hyde Park. Yeah.
And what made it a dive bar?
It was just small. It was in the middle of a mall. I think it's a sushi place now.
Right. And was there a pool table?
Hyde Park Inn. That's what it was called. No, there was no. But there was. You could buy your weed in the back, or
weed.
Yeah.
What year is this?
This was probably 1969.
Right. So, and weed was becoming very popular.
Yeah.
The hippies loved the weed.
Weed and pills.
Oh, pills. What kinds of pills?
Uppers.
Jeez. And did you dabble in any of that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
As a young...
All of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't have to drag that out of you, did you? Did I?
We all did.
And so it's like 1969, and you're buying like uppers and smoking weed and drinking beer. Like, yep.
All of the above.
And it sounds like a pretty good time.
Yeah, we did. We had a good time.
But it was also, along with all the drugs, was a strong sort of like anti-war and peace and freedom movement.
Yep.
Were you a part of any of that?
I didn't do any marching or anything like that, but I do remember my brother was in the Navy. He... In the great family tradition of the Ochs family, he ended up in California for 4 years in the Navy.
Right.
And my dad ended up in Rhinebeck. I mean, we don't.
Right. And there was a famous folk singer, Phil Ochs.
Phil Ochs.
Any relation?
Not that I know of.
And it's funny because I saw his name forever, and I always thought, I never heard it. I thought, oh, Phil Ochs.
Yeah.
Which is why I mispronounced your name.
Yeah, well, my uncle went to Germany, and he said that Ochs is like Smith in Germany.
Oh, interesting. And had you traveled much in your life?
No. Well, my husband and I did. We went to Italy a couple of times.
Oh, fun.
We went to California, back and forth. I lived in California for a couple of years.
Oh, whereabouts?
Thousand Oaks in Ventura County.
Oh, nice. And how come? How did you end up there?
Well, after my husband died and I sold my house, I moved in with my dad. Then I lived with him for a few years, and I thought might want him. He said to me, "I'm not going anywhere. Rhinebeck's my home." So I hung around, and then he died. I sold the house and I moved to California, but it was not for me. California is nice, but
how did you choose where to go? It's a big state.
I have cousins that live there.
Okay.
In Thousand Oaks, so they wanted me to come and live with them, and I was
so
like,
did you rent a place there, or just buy right away?
Yeah, I lived with them, and then they had an apartment downstairs, and I fixed it up and lived there.
And what was life like for you in California?
COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is recently.
Yeah.
That's a bad introduction to any place.
Yeah, well, but it just wasn't for me. It's just the sun is always shining. It never rains. It's like, ugh. Yeah. I'm from the northern tribes.
Uh-huh.
You like it cold.
And in northern tribes, you mentioned Germany. Is part of your family's from Germany?
Yep.
And the other, your mom is like Italian?
Italian, 100%.
Which is not necessarily, I mean, they have the Alps up north and stuff, but you don't think of Italy as sort of like northern climes, really.
No, I say it's my Danish and Swedish DNA. That gives me that northern tribe thing.
So when it's snowy and cold, you're happy.
I am. I hate this heat.
I am too.
Yeah, how are you? Really?
Well, snow is just magic for starters.
Yes.
So there's that. And the cold, I can always put on a sweater. When it's really hot, I'm like, I can't take off my skin.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. You're the first person I've heard to say that.
My buddy Stinky, same way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
People think I'm crazy when they say that. And I can remember being in California and it would rain and the neighbors would be cheering because it never rains.
Right. So you stayed there 2 years. You came back in like 2022?
Yeah. 3 years I've been living in the Village Green.
And when you moved there, did you get rid of all your stuff, or did you put?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Did you have mini storage?
I had the pod people.
The pod people, which is a great service.
I love it.
They come, they drop it off, you fill it up, they take it away.
Yep.
And you still have all the stuff.
Yep.
But you don't have to look at it.
Yes.
Which is so bizarre. It seems like a bizarrely American, capitalistic American scenario. So since you got back, have you unloaded the pod?
Yeah, I did that right away.
All right, good. Hats off to you for that anyway. And at that point in time, did you jettison stuff? You were like, I don't need this. I don't know why I put it in here.
No, actually, I have a tendency to keep things around me.
I do too. It's terrible.
Books, I'm nuts about them.
Yeah.
I have like 4 bookcases in my house. They're loaded.
And so do you read a lot?
Yes. Yes, I do.
What's on your bedside table right now?
At night, I'm reading Nancy Mitford.
Okay.
You know the Mitford sisters?
No.
The British sisters? One of them was married to that Mosley fascist guy.
Yes.
And they were communists. There were 6 sisters. They were beautiful women. And
wow.
And so Nancy wrote these books about what life was like kind of in the after the war and during the war in England. And I love them. And
so that's your bedtime book. Is there a daytime book as well?
Yes, my daytime book is Dorothy Parker biography.
Oh,
What
right.
fresh
You
hell
said
is
you're
this?
reading Dorothy Parker. That's hilarious.
I love that woman.
And when was that biography written?
It's an old one, actually. I think it was 98.
Right.
It's been around. I just reading it now.
Yeah. I know just a few, like little bon mot, Dorothy Parker. I've never really read anything about her. Were you surprised at many of the things you're reading?
I did. She was a wisecracking broad, and but she came from a very. Her mother died when she was really young, and her father owned. They made clothes or something. It was a tailor or factory or something, and he wasn't a very demonstrative or kind of close father. So she had a strange upbringing, and she just was shy. And then all of a sudden, she started to drink. She found herself.
That's so funny. I'm going to share one of my very favorite Dorothy Parker stories. Is she arrived at some gala benefit, and she arrived at the door at the same time as some like socialite.
Yeah.
And the socialite opened the door for her and waved Dorothy Parker through in a snarky manner and said, age before beauty. And Dorothy Parker waltzed through the door and said, pearls before swine.
Yeah.
Which is classic Dorothy Parker witticism.
Yes. Yeah. She just could throw them out there.
Yeah. Must be amazing.
The Algonquin Round Table people, the people that she hung out with.
Right. Who's like Robert Benchley and I don't know who else was there.
Ross, the guy that started the New
Harold
Yorker.
Ross.
Yep.
Right. What a time and what a table.
Yeah.
And have you found yourself, it's the table where everybody who sort of reads about that stuff or reads the New Yorker or whatever, it's like, wish I could have been at that table.
Yeah.
Have you been at tables like that in your life where you're like, oh my God, this is such a...
No.
Oh. Well, the day's young. What are you doing after this?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Keep hanging out with Todd. I suspect he finds himself at tables like that a bunch.
I can't believe the people that guy knows. He knows everybody in town.
Yeah. Yeah, and people really seem to like him.
He's very likable.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like him when I first met him. I'm like, why are you being so bitch? And then I was like, oh, he's not. He's being sincere.
Yeah, he is. He is what he is.
Yeah, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's getting less and less easy to find people who are really just authentic and sincerely who they are and how they are.
That's Todd.
Yeah, which is great. So how have you seen Rhinebeck change over the years?
Well, that's sad to me because I love Rhinebeck and I always have. It's just, I saw this quote somewhere and I don't think it was a poem or it was just this man, and I used to carry it around with me, but I lost it. But he said that children are lucky whose parents bring them up in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And that's the way I always felt. I loved Rhinebeck. I just loved the smell of it, the look of it. It's like visceral with me.
Right.
But now, and it used to be a place where people lived, and you go to the village for you go to the butcher, you go to the A&P. There were like stores where people went and bought stuff that they needed.
Right.
Now it's just foofy, bougie town, and it's real estate agents. I swear to God, I got to have some native blood in me because the thought of the land getting chopped up and the trees getting cut down and
right,
it just makes me feel really bad.
Right. And where was your childhood home?
We lived when I was 6. We moved to Parsonage, South Parsonage Street, and that area was called Park Plaza, and it went Parsonage Street, Violet Avenue, or Violet Place, and the one and Knollwood ran through it was full of kids.
Right.
There was not a lot of cars in those days. We would play in the street, crazy stuff, and there were woods. Where Chancellor Livingston is, that was fields. Where those big fancy houses they built, that was fields. There was an airport.
Stortini Town.
Yeah, that was an airport in there.
Really?
Yeah, and it was woods. We called the Mile Woods, and we would go in those woods and disappear for hours. And
right, which is such a great way to spend your youth.
And the pond. Before we couldn't go in it anymore. Then we moved from Parsonage Street to Asher Road, which that runs off of 9 from where this...
Close by the pond.
Yeah, goes right down to the pond. I could walk down the pond with my ice skates on. And skate all winter and swim in the summer. It's perfect.
And then you said at some point you stopped swimming in the pond?
Yeah, we could... I want to... I'm guessing all the septic tanks on South Street probably ran into it.
Right.
And I think there might have been some sickness from the water.
Right.
Bad things happening, and then we couldn't go in it anymore.
Right.
When I was about 15, that was the end of swimming in the pond.
I think people swim in it again.
Ooh, they do?
You're like, I wouldn't go in there.
Ooh,
yeah, I suspect that the Department of Health gets really serious about septic tanks not leaking anywhere.
Yeah.
Especially into a body of water.
Yeah.
That's like flowing through Rhinebeck and into, I guess it probably goes from here down into the Hudson.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stream that runs right over the falls, right under the road and
right
through Astor's.
And so you grew up in this, like, a town right on the banks of the Hudson.
Yeah.
Was the Hudson very much a part of your youth?
Oh, yeah, because my grandparents lived here in Rhinecliff. So we ran the streets of Rhinecliff. We were at the train station playing. We were at the railroad tracks, down by the river, just the cemetery. She lived a couple of houses away from the cemetery.
Right.
And that was our favorite place to play.
And when you say it's you and your brother and
my cousins.
And your
I had cousins.
What a just idyllic youth.
Yeah, it was fun. And I was just telling somebody this about my grandfather. He liked to drink. And he there was a bar in Rhinebeck called Charlie Harder's.
Uh-huh.
And when we were little kids, he got in an accident. And my grandmother, because he was driving from Rhinebeck into Rhinecliff, and my grandmother said, "No more, can't drive anymore now." So my aunt used to take him, and she used to say, they called it Papa's office. Who wants to go with me pick up Papa at his office?
Yeah. And where was this bar?
It was where the parking lot is, Foster's parking lot.
Okay.
It's going towards Rhinecliff, like right there in the corner, Charlie Harder's.
And now it's just a parking lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there might be a hairdresser's or shoe store or something. I don't know.
Now, when I told you where to come for this show and described the corner store here, I said, it's right near the post office. You said, it's near the bar. And I didn't know the post office right here used to be a bar.
Well, I think the post office is a new building. I think the bar is gone.
Oh, okay.
I think the bar was right next to the store.
Okay.
Dirty Annie's.
And there's a little vacant lot in here. What was it called? Dirty Annie's?
Yeah, that's what we called it.
Why?
I don't remember. It might have been the lady who tended bar, but I think that was Nora, because it said on the side of it, "Pump loves Nora." It always said that.
Pump?
Loves Nora. And then there was a guy named Pump, and maybe Nora was the lady that owned it. I don't know.
I love that. And when did you start coming to this bar, Dirty Annie's?
Probably older, like maybe 17, 18. And the Rhinecliff Hotel, that was another great dumpy place to drink.
Yeah. And in all these places, 17, 18, I'm guessing the drinking age at that point was probably 18.
18.
So were you still drinking beer, or had you switched to...
I didn't start drinking something else until I went to college. So I went to Dutchess, and then I drank in Poughkeepsie, and it was usually it was probably beer and what's the other Laird's Applejack is one of my favorite.
Laird's Applejack, I like that stuff. It's like an apple brandy.
Yes, it is.
Like Calvados.
Yes.
Over there.
Yes.
So you did a year and a half at Dutchess, and then did you go back to school? Did you finish your degree eventually?
I did when I went to the psychologist, and then I realized what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn. I wanted to go back to school, so I did. I went and finished up at Dutchess.
And were you a much better student after you went back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing. I thought I was always stupid. And I went to Dutchess, and my English teacher, I was looking over something with her one day, and she looked at me and she said, "You're my star pupil." And here I am, this 40, 50, whatever I was, year old woman who nobody ever told me something like that. I never forgot it. I was like...
So you had a self-perception that you were just not that bright.
Yeah.
And then you went back like 20 years later.
Yeah.
And you're the star student.
Yeah.
Amazing. What a moment of change in self-perception.
Well, yes. I finished there. I went to New Paltz. I got my bachelor's in
what?
Communication disorders.
Oh.
And I thought I was going to be a speech therapist, but I didn't really find that interesting, but I loved audiology.
Which is what?
Hearing.
Okay.
Here, it's... You test the person's hearing, you get the numbers, you
Right.
say, here's what you need, stick them in your ears, see ya.
You're the one putting the headphones on me,
Yeah.
saying hold your finger up when you hear something.
Yes. Yes.
No matter what, I always feel like I fail those tests.
I know.
I'm like, oh, I know that tone has been going for like minutes. I didn't hear it. Yeah. And then I get out there like, okay, you're all right.
Yes, I know.
Only my family accuses me of being hard of hearing.
Really?
Yeah. But for me, one of the things is like in a crowded. Wait, are you whispering about me? In a crowded bar, it is very difficult for me to hear.
Yes, that's a
noise.
kind of a hearing loss. Yeah.
So you went to school, and you decided that you wanted to specialize in audiology, be an audiologist. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing it'd be pretty easy to find a job after. No,
it wasn't. When I graduated, it was right when IBM went
belly up.
Yep.
Oof.
So I was out of work I could have gone to Albany, but I wish I had gone to Castle Point, which I didn't realize a lot of people I graduated with worked at Castle Point for the veterans, for the VA. And that's a great job. And they all got grandfathered into I could have been a doctor.
Right.
Dr. Ochs.
Right.
And so I couldn't get a job in audiology, and my husband's cousin worked at Devereaux.
So you were married at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were looking for somebody to be a case manager for a specific group. It's called an intermediate care facility. It was a higher needs group of kids, and they needed somebody with a degree. It just had to be a degree in human services of some kind.
Right.
So I went and worked there.
And how long did you work there?
23 years.
Wow.
But I didn't do case management for the whole time. I did that for maybe 10, and then I went into QA, quality assurance, and there's a lot of rules and regulations around developmentally disabled people.
Right.
New York State rules, so you have to follow the rules or you get in huge trouble.
Right, like a year and a half ago, some guy, a monitor, was asleep at the wheel, and somebody got loose. And
yep. Yes. And you can't lie. You can't mistreat the kids. And I did investigations into abuse allegations for about 15 years.
Oh, boy. And so it sort of puts you at odds with the teachers and the monitors and stuff when you're investigating them.
I tried not to, but every now and then, to this day, I'll run into somebody.
You learn what?
I will run into somebody that I might have had to talk to or get fired or who knows.
And I imagine after all these years, he's probably pretty cordial. No?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're like out of time. We got 30
really?
seconds left. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. What did I forget to ask?
I think I don't know. I think you asked everything. Wow, right. That went fast.
It does when you have a great guest, and you've been a spectacular guest. Thank you so much, Bebe Miscedra.
Thank you, Norm.
Bebe Ochs Miscedra, for coming in and talking with us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, Jen Hammoud, the producer with the Moses, and Matt Rosenberg, and Patricia Wind, who allows us to broadcast such as it is here from the Nook at the Epicurean. Thanks for listening. Have a great Friday and a fabulous weekend.